And then again, does it really make sense for us to send our kids out into this world when you're making $3,000 a month, but it's costing you, 2,000 of it in rent? You haven't paid for any utilities, any insurances, any other expenses, and you've spent like 2/3 of your income, and you're giving it to someone else. How do you create wealth in that? How do you save up 20% to put down to become a homeowner in that type of situation? So that's the part of the conversation I think we need to think about as well.
I think so too. I mean, there's a lot of avenues that we need to go down. I actually have sold to many families that did buy as families, and then what they did is they all put their money into a pool so that the next person who got their turn to buy their house, they all put together for that person to get their own home, and then that person would probably move in his sister or a brother or whatever, and then they would save up again, so that would push them off into their own home ownership. So, Marlo, could this trend actually help build generational wealth?
If the person is not just waiting on their parents to die. I mean, I think that the lady in the video that we just showed, to me, this is the result of helicopter parenting, right? We stopped talking about helicopter parenting where, every moment of the child's day was scheduled and the parent was overly involved in everything, right? And we see this now. I work in a managerial position. I haven't experienced it myself, fingers crossed, but I've heard of people whose parents have been present on job interviews, whether they came with or whether they were there in the background on Zoom and giving prompts, right? So I think if your whole life has been your parent being this overly guiding factor in your life and you haven't really had a need to figure things out for yourself, I think that you will be 20 years old in the basement gaming, smoking weed, because that's what's easy. The world is very, very hard, right? And so I think that there's a lot of things happening at once. What this lady talked about is not building generational wealth. That kid is waiting to come up on the inheritance, like how many years before checkout? He's not that. The person described in that video is not trying. I think that if real conversations are happening and people are saying, hey, what's your goal? How can we help you get there? If those conversations are happening, absolutely generational wealth can be established and built in a situation like that. But it depends on how we got here. Did we get here because the parents never were able to let go? Did we get here because life happened and out of need they had to come home? Like, how did we get here? And I think that that's where your outcome lies, in the discussions that you have about how we get here and where we're going.
Yeah, I agree.
Can I add to that, Lala?
Yes,
Real
yes.
quick. Because at the beginning of the video, she said, your son is not lazy. He's stuck. And so what that sounds like is that he need Joe, right? Like you need it, whatever those things that he experienced when he was younger that made him feel like I can't make decisions on my own. Because I grew up I grew up in a house. My grandmother had 12 children, and all of the boys were at home and all of the girls were gone. And so like, out, like not just outside, but like outside killing it. Like out, my Aunt Connie was, Minister Connie was like at 30 something. Minister Connie was still out in the streets killing, and I was watching her go bing, 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 right? And it's like all of her sisters are like that, but all of my uncles were at the house. Every one of them. And when my grandmother told them that they had to leave, some of them resented her for it, and we end up relocating to another state to get them out of the house, right? So like I just think about like that whole thing about babying our sons and raising our women, our girls to like be able to handle life in a way. Like we're not, I mean, I know it's a thing for women to move back home, but I think it's less likely that a woman moves home, right? But for some odd reason it's like, oh no, he can come back, and if he needs to he can come back. I mean, I'm saying Lauren can come back whenever she wants, but Lauren's like, I'm not coming back here. She's 14 talking like that, talking about I'm good. I said, oh, okay. All right. Oh, okay. So maybe it's something mental. Maybe it's something that they need some therapy through, you know?